Hello you lovely people out there. I hope you are doing fine today. So we are in the middle of a pandemic and I'm pretty sure most of you haven't flew in a while, and some of you must be wondering what it is like to fly like during these times. So I'm here to answer that question for you. I recently took a flight from Kathmandu, Nepal to Toronto, Canada. In this video I'm going to share my experience with you guys, some with the pictures that I have taken from my phone, while others just from pictures from the Google, just to give you a clear view of what was happening. But first of all, I'd like to clarify that it was an essential travel because both the government of Nepal and government of Canada has put like a stop on the non-essential travel. Let's talk the price. How much did it cost? Because that's like the big question, right? So I paid about $2,000 from Kathmandu, Nepal to Montreal, Canada, and I paid about another $500 in ticket and baggage from Montreal, Canada to Toronto, Canada. So the question is, how much does it cost at a normal time? If I'm getting a deal with Etihad Airways, I would pay about like $650 for one-way ticket from Kathmandu to Toronto. Even if it's a normal fare, like a average fare, if I'm traveling with Etihad or Turkish Airlines, I would pay about like $800. But I took Qatar Air, and Qatar Airways is a bit expensive than other airways. Even with Qatar Airways, I would pay about like $1,000 to $1,100. So if you do the math, I paid about like 4 times what I would normally pay if I get a deal. Even if I don't get a deal, I paid about like 3 times what I would normally pay. Even with Qatar, I paid about like 2.5 times what I would normally pay. So the next thing is, let's talk about the process. I bought my ticket with one of the travel agency in Nepal called President Tours. I went to buy my ticket on the 17th of June and I was supposed to fly on 20th of June. They took the money and they gave me a receipt. So the problem with that receipt was like there was no proper signature, there was no stamping. If they don't fly and if you want to sue them, you have no basis. And there was no ticket. So I'm talking about like on 17th of June when I went to buy the ticket. But I was desperate to move, so I took that risk anyways. Finally on the 19th of June, I got my ticket, so I was happy. On the 20th, I finally went to the airport. And as you can see, like there are marks on the airport, like which is for social distancing. So I followed that and then I went through the gate. On the gate, right where you are about to enter, somebody is there holding a thermometer to take your temperature. You are just praying your gods that you don't have a regular flu or anything like that, because if you have any temperature, then you are not allowed to board the flight. So I cleared that, and then I went through the baggage, and then after that I went through the immigration, no problem. After that, like I was standing outside to board my flight. As you can see in the picture, people just like they completely ignored the social distancing and everybody started clustering together. But I kept my distance. Anyways, when I was boarding a flight, you would not believe like how the airplane crew was. You would think like this maybe is a joke, but it is not. Like this is exactly how they were dressed up. Anyways, I went inside and then I took my seat. To my surprise, there was no social distancing in the flight. Like all the tickets were booked, all the seats were booked, as you can see in the picture. You were required to wear a mask like all the time, except the time when you are served like food or beverages. So before the takeoff, the airplane crew, they give you direction like what happens in case of emergency and stuff like that. Qatar Airways has removed all of that. Now you see a video on your screen that will explain you what you are supposed to do in case of emergency. And I took some screenshot of the videos. During the flight, the food was good. They would regularly serve you like beverages, and then I had like chicken for my main meal. So yeah, there is no complaint on the food. Like food was top notch, it was good. So after that, I finally landed in Doha after like about 5 hours flight. I have never seen like Doha airport so empty. There was very few passengers like who were passing through, and then most of the lights were turned off. Most of the shops on the duty free was like shut down. There are still few open, but like very few, and the cafeterias were closed too, except like one or two. There was social distancing in the chair, on the urinal, everywhere, and there was no water fountain. You had to buy the water. So I had like 13 and a half hours of transit in Doha, Qatar, and after that I went to board my flight for Montreal. Like during the normal time, all your belongings go through the scanner, so that wasn't there in Doha. I think since they are flying like very few flights, they removed that. Instead, like they would call you like individually, and then there would be an officer. They would check your bag and your body and all your belongings like personally. So finally, like I went through that, and then I took my flight to Montreal. Again, the food was good. There was no social distancing. So when I finally landed in Montreal, instead of going through the immigration officer, I was directed to a kiosk. They had kiosks set up like all over the place, and then that would scan your passport, and then you had to fill out like all the details. I mean, some of the details would be like, they would ask you if you have any COVID-19 symptoms, if you have fever, stuff like that, and also your personal history and all that stuff. After you are done filling everything up, it will print out like a receipt. And then also there is like a paper form on the side. You are also supposed to fill that one up. After you are done with everything, you take the paper form to an immigration officer. And that officer asked me if I had a place to self-quarantine, and also would bring like things like food and other essential services during my self-quarantine period of 14 days. After I answered all of that, I was directed to a second officer. The second officer would ask me a general question. Since I'm a permanent resident and this is my first entry to Canada, I was asked question like how much fund did I bring to settle down, or things like have I ever committed crimes and things like that. And after that he stamped all my documents and I walked out of the immigration. You know how you land in an airport and then it would take you like 3-4 hours to get through immigration? It took me 15 minutes. That's right, all it took me was like good 15 minutes. After I exited from the international venue, I went to the domestic one because I had connecting flight with Air Canada. And then I again rechecked my bag, and then I had like 5-6 hours of transit in between. So I just had some food. When it was time to board my flight with Air Canada, they again checked my temperature. In Air Canada, I saw like they had a proper social distancing measure. So for every aisle there was only one seat taken. I don't know if there were no customers because I was taking the last flight of the day, or it was like on purpose. I cannot tell you that. And after that I landed in Toronto, and then I came to my final destination. I'm staying with a Nepali family as a paying guest for my duration of my quarantine period. They are providing me with food and also a place to stay, and I'm really grateful for that. So now let's talk about timing. How long did it take? So usually with Qatar Airways, it takes about like 26 hours to reach to Toronto, but it took me almost about like 40 hours. But yeah, I mean, that has been my experience traveling from Kathmandu to Toronto. Like we used to talk about like how by 2020 we would have like flying cars, and here I am sitting like talking about like a flight I took. Yeah, these are crazy times. But yeah, I'm finally here and I'm grateful. And today is my 6th day of self-quarantine. So for now I'm just applying for jobs. But yeah, that is about it for this video. Please do like, comment and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care. Goodbye.